So today I want to talk about one of the biggest talking points within the fitness industry and in particular the fat loss space. And that is that you can eat whatever you want, drink whatever you want, never have to say no and still lose weight. Now, is that technically possible? Yes, it is. But it's always framed against the argument of aggressive fat loss and restricting for a short period of time, cutting everything out to get to your goal. And because of that, the reality of the situation isn't really discussed openly. And that is that fat loss does still require sacrifice, just not in the way that it's pushed by the aggressive fat loss side. And I think we've gone from one extreme to another. Growing up as a millennial, I was always kind of taught that, fat was bad or carbs was bad, or, you can't eat meals out when you're dieting. Basically, you're just not allowed to have any fun when you're on a diet. And now, to some extent, we've almost swung the other way. And the message now has become that you never need to miss out, that you never need to say no to a cookie.
You'll never say no to a cookie.
And you can drink every weekend if you want. And whilst that is great, and whilst to an extent that is true, those statements are setting people up to fail. So here's the truth. Can you eat meals out? Definitely. Can you have a few drinks? Of course. Can you enjoy birthdays, weekends away, holidays? Absolutely. And you can probably feel what's coming next, and it's a big but. Probably not as often as you'd ideally like to. If losing weight is your genuine priority. And that's the bit that people don't want to hear, because fat loss is about priorities. So think about it like this. Someone tells you that they want to save for a house. Can they still go and pay for a coffee every day? Yeah. Can they still go away on holiday? Yeah, sure. Can they still go and buy designer clothes? Yeah. And here's that word again, but they can't do all of them. That holiday might have to be a 4-night staycation rather than 10 nights in Greece, because every financial goal involves choices, and fat loss is exactly the same. Every decision that you make moves you either a little bit closer or a little bit further away from your goal. So if fat loss is your genuine priority, you do have to make some sacrifices. That doesn't mean stopping everything. It just means that you need to find a trade-off that works. And it really isn't easy. Even just saying no, I think we've made that a bit of a negative thing, which it isn't. It's okay to say no sometimes. If something doesn't align with what you're trying to achieve, you can say no, and other people will need to accept that. It might mean that saying no to that extra pint means that when you're on holiday and you walk into the bar, you don't worry about putting your t-shirt back on. Or saying no to a piece of cake means that you don't spiral into a meltdown every time you're trying to pick something out to wear.
I'm in a glass case of emotion.
Sometimes saying no now means that you reap the rewards in the future. And that's not restriction. That's making choices. So the real question that you need to ask yourself in these situations isn't, can I still eat this? It's actually, is this decision in line with the goal that I've told myself I want? If you're on holiday, enjoy it. If it's your birthday, celebrate it. But if it's a random Tuesday night and you're sat bored on the sofa scrolling through Deliveroo, then that's a different conversation. And most people are relying on willpower to get them through those moments. They feel like every healthy decision should be easy, and it won't. Some days you'll want the takeaway. Some days you'll want the extra drinks. And some days you'll genuinely have to choose between sort of instant gratification, that dopamine hit, and long-term progress. And that's totally normal. Because fat loss is relatively simple, right? But it's not easy, and there's a big difference there. And the reason that it isn't easy is because quite often the choice that aligns with your goal isn't the easiest one. So I think it's really important to bear in mind that one of the biggest mindset shifts that you can make is accepting that you don't need to be perfect to lose weight. You don't need to cut out all the foods that you love. You don't need to avoid every social event, but you do have to accept that every goal comes with trade-offs and requires some form of sacrifice. The people who get lasting results aren't the ones with the most willpower. They're the people who get the most comfortable making the decisions that align best with the life that they say they want. And again, you don't have to rely solely on willpower to make those choices. There are tools, systems that you can put in place to help remove some of those decisions, or limit them for sure. And when you do have to make them feel like they're a little bit easier to make. That's what I help my clients do, to help it feel a little bit easier, to reduce the number of decisions they're making, especially around food, on a daily basis, because that is what makes it difficult to lose weight. So before I sign off, please remember, you don't need to say no to everything, but you do need to say no occasionally to make fat loss a reality for you. All the best, guys. Keep chipping away.